Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Sports Interview. After some cancellations, I am stuck here with the one and only Nathan, the official. Nathan, thanks for joining me here on the set.
Kevin, it's my episode ×2 today.
Yeah, absolutely. We have, if you've heard these voices before, you've probably heard them on 90.7 WEHC, What's the Buzz, where me and Nathan Fishel analyze the football game and other sports. And today we're having a little EHCTV edition.
Yeah.
So first I want to talk about that radio show actually. What has your radio experience been like for you?
Kevin, coming into this year, I know me and you over the summer had talked a little bit about possibly getting together and doing a radio show with sports. It's been done in the past. Evan Williamson and Austin Bunn used to have a great show that played before the football games and sometimes at halftime. And it was just, we thought maybe we should try to fill in and we could bring our own spiel to it. And that's what we did. At the beginning of the year, we sat down with Dr. Keller and created a slot for the show. And then through some trials and errors, we came up with What's the Buzz?
Yeah, and What's the Buzz does talk about sports, and I kind of want to talk about sports today. Football team just had a tough season. If you could give me an analysis and sort of their season in review.
Their season in review. Well, they were picked to finish last in the ODAC, which with Kurt Newsome coming in and a lot of players graduating last year that were key players, especially Kyle Bowden. And
He's got a fat head of himself in the field house. I mean, that's pretty tough to replace.
Yeah, he's legendary here at E&H. So coming in with Kevin Saxton from App State, we knew there was going to be a lot of buzz, if you will. But we didn't really know what to expect out of them. Two new running backs, Isaiah Rodgers and Chris Thompson, really unproven. And that's the biggest way we could describe them coming into the year, unproven. But Coach Newsome, he got them all to really buy into the system, and they ended up going 8-2, shocking some people, especially when Randolph-Macon came in at the start of the year. Randolph-Macon picked second in the ODAC, and here we came and we just ran the ball all over Randolph-Macon, who we thought was going to be physical. Just couldn't quite pull it out enough, finishing the year 8-2 and 6-2 in the 5-2 in the conference, and just couldn't get quite all the pieces aligned as we fell to Guilford last weekend.
Yeah, now football season ending, we're sort of spiraling towards basketball season. What do we have to look forward to with both the men's and women's team basketball-wise?
Well, the men's basketball team is very young, you and Miles being the most experienced players, but Miles having to sit out last year. It's really going to be an interesting test. I know the other night against Southern Virginia, man, I was jumping up and down at the scores table calling the game as the PA announcer, actually. But, man, it was just so close. But it's good to see all the hopefulness. John Sheeler, he looked unbelievable. The freshman out of Giles County it is, I believe.
Yeah,
knocking down a lot of big shots. He looks like he's going to be a replacement.
Oh, that is some tough words on EHCTV. Getting some shots behind the scenes, now getting shots on the set. But no, yes, John Sheeler, he can shoot the ball. He can flat out shoot the ball, and he will be a big key if we're going to be successful this season. Other freshmen, Noah Walker, a guy who can pick a quarter off the top of the backboard if you put it up there. He's really athletic, and he's actually in the starting lineup for the mix. Chase Branscombe, a guy who is hurt right now, but some size that we need. That is probably the biggest weakness of this Emory and Henry men's basketball team is the lack of size. Brandon Self having to play a boatload of minutes right now, and he's a guy that I think could be a all-ODAC player of the year. Now going to the women's side of the court. They suffered 2 losses this past weekend, 2 games which they could have won easily. They were up by as much as 8 points with 15 minutes left to go in the second half, and they ended up losing the game. And then they lost a very tough game, a nail-biter, I guess you could say, against North Carolina Wesleyan by 2 points. What can you take away from those games if you're Coach Ann Crutchfield?
Well, Coach Crutchfield, obviously, her first really 2 games as a college coach is going to be tested. She's still learning the way of a college system as well, as Coach Katz left this past year. But Coach Katz left some great players in Tamara Brewster, Karina Farr, and Anna Green. Great locker room girls as well. And Anna Green came up very big in that game the other night. She had a 3 late and showed her composure and her leadership as a junior on the court. Their season's going to be interesting, just as they adapt to Coach Crutchfield's new system. I still haven't gotten the opportunity to see them, but I know they'll be in action tomorrow night at 7.
Yeah, Karina Farr, a great player. It's interesting. She's not the tallest girl you'd ever see, but she gets rebounds like she would be 7 feet tall. She had 10 points and 13 rebounds in their loss against North Carolina Wesleyan. Now, I know you did some tough work in regionals on the cross-country team. Wrap up your season for me real quick.
It was a good season for us. We were picked 8th in the ODAC, ended up finishing 5th overall. And as a cross-country runner, running at ODACs was by far the worst conditions of my whole entire career. And I've been running since I was a freshman in high school. 30 degrees, pouring rain, and puddles up to your knees. Regionals was a very different experience, though, this past weekend, as there were about 40 teams in our race, and we ended up finishing 24th, I believe it was, so towards the middle. But it was a big stepping stone, as I am the oldest on the roster as a junior. Some great young talent, Alex Cooper, Kevin Watts, and Michael Kaywood, and we're also very hopeful that we're going to bring in 2 studs next year as well that are really looking good to move us into the top 3 next year in the conference.
Absolutely. I know we had Coach Tom Antonucci a couple weeks earlier before regionals, and he was very optimistic about the way things were going. How did the girls' team end up doing?
Girls' team ended up doing okay at regionals. Meg Green had the best performance of her college career. She ran 24:30, I believe it was, lowering her previous school record by over a minute. So she had a great day, and she's just a gamer when it comes to running in big meets. She really stepped up and delivered well and was in the top 50 or so, and all the girls in the region. By the time she's done at Emory and Henry, I'm going to predict right now that she's going to be an all-region runner and move on to nationals for the first time in school history.
She's been an outstanding athlete. She was the featured athlete of the week, like the first week as a freshman coming in and not really showing any inexperience at all. So I agree with you there. She's a game player. And that is all the time we have today. If you enjoyed this at all, tune in to 90.7 WEHC for What's the Buzz. I'm going to stop talking about ourselves now, and I'm going to throw it over to Nathan Fishel with the sports update.